Union Minister of Science and Technology, Government of India, Dr. P.R. Mehta, Senior Vice President, Reliance Industries, Chairman of Board of Governors, press, TV, exhibitors, and others. Exhibition is growing year after year with blessings of God and your support. 25% increase of exhibitors over last year, 2016. Most of them are participating repeatedly, increasing their space. This itself shows the responses. Many of the exhibitors have their own success stories. We assure you better services, business contact, and in the years to come. In 2018, hall number 5, robotics, IT in manufacturing, automation in food processing, packaging are planned. In order to continue to increase quality of the visitors, we are working for you.
Thank you very much. I now request our chief guest, Mr. Narayan, sir, you have got a job to do. So you'll have to stand up and you'll have to give some mementos to our Board of Governors. So may I request you to come in the front, sir, please? Thank you so much. Thank you, Benny. Okay, Mr. Ajit Karandikar, may I invite you, please, Mr. Amit Bangurde.
Automation exhibitions showcases the power of collaboration between the solution providers, which is vendors, the engineering companies, and the actual users of the technology. Technology is shaping tomorrow's world. We have been able to see marvelous progress in terms of technology showcased. We have two guests of honor. Our first guest of honor is Mr. Sudarsana Rao. Mr. Rao is Senior Director in R&D Infrastructure Division of Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. Mr. Rao is also a Fellow and Life Member of Indian Institute of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineers. Mr. Life is Life Member of Administrative Staff College of India, Hyderabad. Mr. Rao is also member of International Society of Automation USA, and Mr. Rao is attached to Department of Science and Technology, Government of India from 1993. On behalf of Board of Governors and IIT Communication, I would like to welcome you, sir, to this show. Second honor is Mr. Richard Timoni, former CEO of Fieldbus Foundation and now advisor to Philcom Group. It does not require any introduction to the Fieldbus Foundation community or the expo here, because he has been visiting us every year for last 10 years. Richard Timoni has served as President and Chief Executive Officer of Fieldbus Foundation and has over 30 years of experience in process and factory automation. Having worked in several sales, marketing and executive position roles for Honeywell, Yokogawa, Bailey Fisher and GE Fano. On behalf of organizers and Board of Governors, I would like to welcome you, sir, to the Automation Expo. 4 decades of extensive experience in the industry. He began his career with IPCL Baroda in 1973 and joined Reliance Industries in 1979 and has been involved with implementation of all petrochemical projects in Patalganga, Gajira and Jamnagar complexes. He is currently the Group President Procurement and Projects, RIL, and responsible for process licensing and engineering services for major projects, procurement of capital equipment, supply chain management and input materials, MRO items for IR Group companies and e-procurement initiatives and business transformation activities. Before I conclude, on behalf of ID Communications and Board of Governors, I would like to convey my sincere gratitude to Sri B. Narayan for kindly accepting our invitation to inaugurate the automation exhibition. We are thankful to you, sir, for sparing your valuable time and be the chief guest for the function. Mr. Sudarshan Rao.
So happy to see this occasion year and year. It's growing and growing well. So I wish all the best and best wishes to the Automation Expo in the coming years. Thank you so much for inviting and honoring me, for your kind words. Thank you.
I want to thank the organizers of this automation fair, Board of Governors, and our distinguished guests for being here and bringing together so many fine companies. Many, many years ago when I first started traveling here, my people back in the States would say, "Why do you go to India so often?" And I would had a very simple answer, because that's where the business opportunities are, and that's where the business opportunities will stay. It's been a pleasure after a short period when I wasn't able to attend, but to be back again warms my heart, and I welcome so many friends that I have made over the years doing business here in India, and wish you all the biggest of success.
Chief guest, Mr. B. Narayan, to say the inaugural address, and after that address, we are going to inaugurate the exhibition. Mr. B. Narayan, please welcome him.
Friends, do I see any ladies? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the dignitaries in the dais. I'm very happy to be amongst you here this morning on the occasion of inauguration of this Expo 2017. It's so apt and relevant that we have this Expo here, and I'm told that this is an annual event and every year it's growing. And I was just on the sideline when I was checking as to how many exhibitors are here. I was told about 500 of them. It's a pretty large number, and it only demonstrates the importance and relevance the automation industry has assumed. And I was just, going back into the history, we're talking about the Industrial Revolution, which started off with mechanization on when the steam engine was introduced, and human and animal labor was replaced by machines. And the second wave of revolution was seen when electricity was introduced in the industry, and mass production concept was brought in. And then we had the third wave of revolutions when we have the transistors and diodes and computers, and automation was introduced in the process industries and the allied industries. And when we are now talking about industrial revolution, number 4 is also called Industry 4.0. A subset of that, we have Manufacturing 4.0, Logistics 4.0, etc. After all, what is Industry 4.0? We are talking about today the Internet of Things, the artificial intelligence, cognitive intelligence, robotics, 3D printing, additive manufacturing, and all of that. And where does automation industry or control system industry come into play? Yes. You know, when we talk about this Internet of Things, it consists of 4 elements. As I understand, you know, you need to have an extremely developed sensor technology, and then you have the accumulation of data and handling the data, the big data. So today we are seeing the cloud technology to handle that data, and then we have the data science, data analytics, to analyze the data and arrive at some conclusion and potential actions that need to be taken based on the analysis. And that is where the Internet of Things stand. And then added to that is the mobility capability, because when the results of the data analytics are available, and then you can actually have that action information available on literally mobile phone. So a person who is supposed to take action can be on the move. He can be in the theater, he can be in a shopping center, and if there is some action to be taken, so he has got it. That's it. He doesn't have to be at the place where the action has to be taken physically. So this is something which probably our next generation is going to get used to, and they probably would not even fathom as to what happened before the Internet of Things ever started. So we will get used to this Industry 4.0 and all related benefits that we see coming. And I was just reading the other day that Google have come up with an AlphaGo, which beat the best Go player. And 20 years back, the Deep Blue computer beat Gary Kasparov, the best chess player then. And if you compare to that chess and in a 64 square board, and you have the possible games is 10 followed by 120 zeros. And I'm told, you know, the AlphaGo has a capability of 10 followed by some 761 zeros or something. So if you really extrapolate that, understand that if you take that number and probably number of atoms in the universe, maybe even not that much. Somebody, I don't know. We'll have to really check whether that number is real correct. But what it demonstrates is the capability of today's technology. It actually goes beyond even computing, and it then gets into a different level of technology, and probably it involves in deep learning, cognitive learning, and self-learning, fast learning, and probably mimicking the brain, the human brain. And you know, just similarly, if I have to give, when a baby is born, it starts actually observing. You have got the sensories, and so you have the ear, eyes, feeling, etc. It recognizes the parent. The baby listens to the parent, sees the parent, and slowly forms the patterns. And then self-learns and gets into the deep learning mode, and that's how ultimately the baby, as it grows, learns and learns and learns. And exactly the same way, probably we would be developing computer capability to do the self-learning. And that is something which I think is going to be a disruptive technology in the future. And we all would be very keen to see, probably some of us, at least my generation, may not be able to see full benefits of that technology in a full-fledged scale. But as you all know, as you all observe, today's generation is already geared up to adapt that technology. You know, as little 1.5-year-old babies gets into the phone and starts tapping these buttons, and then it reads and it looks at this and it plays the cartoons and all that. So it's something which is coming, and with the new investment that are taking place in the world, and more particularly in India, there are a lot of scope for us to introduce these new technologies in new investment that are taking place. And fortunately for India, it's a growing economy, and unlike in some of the developed countries where you have still, you know, they have the legacy of old technologies, and they have to live with that, or they have to spend a lot of money to upgrade. But when we are coming up with new technology, new investments, and so you can actually this is an opportunity for us to introduce these new technologies straight away in the first place, and that is an advantage that we would have. And fortunately for us, India today is one of the largest growing countries in the world, with upside of 7% growth rate. And fortunately for us, also the government of the day is very progressive, and they're coming up with new policy changes. As you see, that pharmaceutical industry, that they're allowing 100% investment in the industry. And also in the fertilizer industry, they have made policy changes because they have seen that there was not much of investment taking place in the fertilizer industry, and they saw the lacuna in the policy, and they made that changes that would definitely inspire people to invest. And as you all know, the oil and gas industry is a booming industry. There is fortunately big public sector companies and a few private sector companies such as ours is very active. And I just cite an example, Reliance. We are currently investing over 13-14 billion, almost over $15 billion in Jamnagar as part of phase 3 projects. And as we have seen, when one mega project of that kind is launched, and then it takes about 3 to 4 years as a gestation period. And during that period, the industry can survive, and they can actually come up with, then they have incentive to invest in R&D and developmental work, and that is what we have actually seen over the last 4 or 5 years during the course of execution of J3 projects. And when as compared to what we had installed as technology products in our 2 refineries that were built since 1998. So we have seen considerable changes that have taken place that have been implemented in field bus is one of them, and also like wireless technology, and so we have applied that as well in our plans. So what I'm trying to say is, for us, the industry has something to look for in the future in the country. And as I was saying, you have the fertilizer industry growing, the pharmaceutical industry growing, and oil and gas definitely, and then even power sector, because provided they make some changes in the policy, I'm sure that's also going to grow. And the power is an important element and it's a parameter to show the health of the industry in the country. So the government has recognized that, and I'm sure they're working on making some policy changes, and there would be some investments. So if I were to consider even a small percentage of 5% of the project cost involving the instrumentation, controls, and automation, then I'm sure it's a big opportunity that's going to be coming in front of you. And then you also have the smart homes, smart cities, digitized transportation system, and digitized highway control system, safety. You know, security is an important element, and we are seeing that we ourselves are building a real estate facility in Bandra Kurla complex in Bombay, one of the largest convention centers with theatre complex and retail outlet and office blocks and residential blocks, etc. And so it's a big complex. We have seen that since there's going to be a huge amount of public movement, we are looking at the most modern system to ensure the security of the people moving around. So it's again, there is imagery technology, there is access control, biometric control, and at the same time it should not be intrusive. And so, because of these projects that we are investing on, and so it is important, and it's imperative for us to look for the new technologies that are emerging and how we can implement them, how we can include them in the installations that we are building today. So these are extremely relevant, I'm sure, with the expo of this kind, which is an opportunity for the people. Even the common man would come and visit these stalls, and I'm sure all these exhibitors must be having the wares and display, and they can explain to the people as to how it is important, how it is relevant for the people, you know, because not only who are engaged in the industry, but also as a general public, because the automation and instrumentation and the control is not only used in the process control or industry, but also generally in everyday life. And you know, we talk so much about smart homes, and everyone is gung-ho on that. And Reliance, apart from our industrial investments, we're also currently investing on the communication side of it through Reliance Jio. Our intent is to, in fact, bring in data, bring in content, quality, speed, and make it available for person on the move. You need not be in some place and just looking for, unfortunately, but no, it's available in the move, every kind of thing. So it's a good future that we have in India, and in that context, I would say good opportunity for process automation and controls and all such allied industry sector. So with that said, I wish the exhibitors and participants very happy 4 days proceedings. And I've also seen that these 4 days expo, along with the expo, you also have symposia, and I'm sure the people who are participating will benefit immensely from the proceedings of the symposia as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Narayan, our chief guest, Group President, Reliance Industries, sir. May I request you to unveil
first we want to thank God for everything, and we want to thank our chief guest. Sir, in spite of all your busy schedule, I know you are the most wanted man in the industry. Still you agreed to accept our humble invitation and be here. Really, you are here, and it really is a privilege for us. We want to thank you, sir, from Team ID and Board of Governors. Also thank Mr. Rich Timony for being here. We are glad to have him back here, Mr. Sudarshan Rao, and all our exhibitors, our visitors, members of the media. This year, I'm sure you're going to see something different. This year, all the Board of Governors, we had 38 people on board, all of them meeting every month. You know, they are all busy in their own respective fields, but still, they have made it a point to make sure that this event is so good, and we have a lot of new things. We have tried to incorporate many changes. I'm sure you'll find a lot of things happening here. 4 days of power-packed technology, and we want to thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Jyoti ma'am. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed for the actual inauguration of the exhibition. So may I invite all of you towards the ribbon cutting ceremony. Please join us.
Automation 2017. What a remarkable and significant start it has got. Well, the Industry 4.0 is looking at itself, being a huge landmark in the history of India. Well, we're talking about some great dignitaries who have just inaugurated the wonderful show. Let's talk to them and have a quick bite, a quick word from the people who have been responsible for leading us to the next technology. Sir, thank you so much for being the most kindest person. I would request you just kindly give us a feedback, views of the importance of today, and a quick brief about yourself.
It's my pleasure to be here. And I had this opportunity to go around the stands, and I was quite impressed with the wares on exhibition. And some of these even I haven't seen in the industry I've been for over 4 decades. Some of the new products, I wish we had them installed in our plants. And I was just telling Mr. Mehta, my colleague, and said we should see the possibility of implementing some of these products and taking advantage of the efficacy of these new products and new technology. And I also had the opportunity to go to one of the stands where the students had developed some robotic pani puri making machine, extremely innovative. And kudos to them. And it's typical of the next generation inspirational product that they have produced. Excellent.
What happens is young guys out there lack the vision what you guys have. I'm sure you've got more than 4 decades of experience, but being pitch perfect on new technology and giving us the right guidance. How does it come out? Where did the inspiration come out from? That's something which I want to learn from all of you all.
When you are in the industry, you see the processes and you see the plans working, and each time you want to improve upon. You want to make life easier for the operators, for the managers, and you want to do your job better. And when you throw some ideas, when you throw some challenges, it is the generation which is having a flair to do something innovative, and all that you need to do is, in fact, identify those talents and throw challenges, and that is where the 60%, 50 to 60% of the job is done. And you have the current generation of youngsters really are capable of producing something which we have not even thought of, given the fact that around the world it is now the Internet of Things and smart homes, smart cities, smart transportation, and all that is happening. So everybody is looking at that.
How simply can you put across thoughts which are the most complex thoughts in the world? Well, that's what I'm talking about. The interviewee, Mr. B. Narayan, Group President, Reliance Industries. Learn from it, guys. This is Sameer Patel getting you some great content from TradeFair TV. Loving it? Love them all.